I ranked every single mini after the update with the help of more than 10 pros, thank you. So without further ado, let's start the competitive tier list, beginning with the worst minis, the F tier, the minis you should avoid. First we have the Battle Healer. Everything is just against the Battle Healer in this meta. First we have the Anti-Heal from the Wizard and the Countess, both very popular troops. Then we got the Mini P.E.K.K.A Dissipate ability, and to add on to that we got the Dark Goblin stun and the Giant Skeleton Bomb stun. All of these are very popular minis and they're all great counters to the Battle Healer. Second mini is the newest mini, which is the Witch. First off, the Skeletons basically feeds into both abilities. For example, the Valkyrie's both heal ability. Stuff like the Valkyrie and the Giant Skeleton, they can just instant kill the skeletons, so it means that the skeletons can't get a lot of value. And to add to that, the Fisherman just destroys the Witch. If he can pull the Witch basically gets no value. So yeah, the Witch isn't looking pretty good right now. So one thing to note here, this tier list is based on level 5 heroes, as that is the most prevalent hero range in the meta. And the last F tier troop is the Swordsman. A Swordsman, he just has no place in the meta at the moment. The Barbarian really overshadows him, and he just has too little HP to sustain any damage, especially with stuff like the Giant Skeleton Bomb. Moving on to the C tier, these minis are quite weak, but they still have their use cases, starting with the Magic Archer. The Fisherman and the Bowler can easily disrupt the mini position, which means the Magic Archer cannot get its value, and long range troops just aren't in the meta right now, so there isn't much need for the Magic Archer to pierce through troops. Second one, we have the P.E.K.K.A. The P.E.K.K.A just hits too slow for this meta, and it helps feed the Dark Goblin to make his damage stack quicker, and it's also pretty overshadowed by the Mega Knight. And before I go on, the position of the minis within a tier means nothing. They are placed at random, so I'm not saying that the P.E.K.K.A is better than the Magic Archer, they're just the same. Next we have the Guard. The Guard once again has the same problem. His attack speed is just a bit too slow, and he is overshadowed by the Knight, which I think is way better in a lot of different aspects. Then we have the Miner. Miner really relies on a long range meta, and as I said right now, long ranges just aren't really meta right now, so there's not much use for the Miner. And of course, we all know that the Miner got nerfed in the balance changes, and he is really overshadowed by the Fisherman right now. Then we have the Spear Goblin. If you miss the Spear Goblin shot, you get a really bad value mini. Even with the recent attack speed buff, it is still very bad in value. And even if you hit it, it does not make such a big effect. It doesn't really do much in this meta right now. Then we have the Musketeer. Now this is a controversial mini, but from what I got, the Musketeer just hits too slow. Again, the same problem. His attack speed is too slow, and he's only really useful when he has 3 stars. So that is pretty obscure, so he belongs in the C tier. Then we have the Barbarian. The Barbarian is really overshadowed by the Mini P.E.K.K.A right now, which does way better in a lot of different scenarios, and he can also be easily countered by the Giant Skeleton or the Valkyrie, as they do area damage. Next we have the Healing Ranger. The Healing Ranger is only really used when long range troops are in the meta, and as I have said this so many times, they are not in the meta. And even with that, the Healing Ranger is only really useful with her 1st star, so yeah, again, she belongs in the C tier. Our last C tier troop though is the Prince. The Prince got a really nasty nerf, which means he gets stunned for 3 seconds if he misses Clash ability shot, and that makes a huge difference. Which means now that the Fisherman actually does better than the Prince in so many ways. The Fisherman is just way better in every single category, which is why the Prince is now pretty obscure. Moving on to the B tier, these troops are pretty decent. They can work fine in multiple decks. First we have the Archer. The Archer nerf obviously make her way worse, but she does still have her uses. The Archer and the Wave Master make a pretty good combo. The Archer gets the long range troops to low HP. The Wave Master finishes them off. And yeah, so she still has her uses. Next we have the Electro Wizard. Obviously he got buffed and now he has really strong abilities and he relies on them. But he can still be easily killed by the Fisherman, and I think he's just a bit overshadowed by the Ice Wizard and the regular Wizard. Next we have the Bowler. First up, the Bowler is 3 elixir, so he fits really well in a variety of decks, and he is really OP in the Clone Mirror map. But once again, he is overshadowed by the Fisherman, which can impact a lot more of the battle with his Clash ability, and he doesn't get much value when he misses his role. So that's why he belongs in the B tier. Next we have the Lumberjack. Lumberjack is really useful if you have his 3rd star ability, the Clash one. Before the balance changes, he's usually just used with the Arch Queen, which now of course the Arch Queen is really weak. So yeah, he is not great, but he's still viable right now. Moving on to our last B tier troop, we've got the Mega Knight. The Mega Knight, on one hand, he's pretty bad against the Wave Master, which is a very popular hero obviously. The Wave Master just zooms away before the Mega Knight supers, but his stun is still pretty valuable in most other cases, and he is a very solid tank, which deserves him the B tier. Moving on to the A tier, these are really good minis. Most of the good decks have some of these minis, and they are really recommended to use. First we have the Golden Giant, the newest mini in the game. He is a great tank, he counters the Wave Master, and he's just an all-round solid mini. Next we have the Ice Wizard. He is great at stopping damage dealing troops such as the Mini P.E.K.K.A, and he can finish kills pretty easily at the end of the round. And he can also change some interactions between minis with his slow, and of course he has some amazing abilities. Next we have the Knight. The Knight is just a better version of the Guard in my opinion, and his new mocking ability makes him great, and it's very versatile. You can base off Magic Archer with it, you can do a lot of different things with this new Clash ability. So the Knight, he is looking pretty solid. Our next A tier troop is the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is great against lots of melee minis, and obviously this is a melee meta we're in right now, and she's also a great damage dealer, especially with her HP buff, which makes her a bit more tanky, and she's also a great mini to get bounced on the clan in the shipwreck map, so she can also deal damage to the surrounding ranged minis. Next troop we have is the Mini P.E.K.K.A. The Mini P.E.K.K.A, he just mainly relies on his Dissipate ability, his 2nd star ability, which counters stuff like the Monk, the Wave Master, the Countess. It is just really useful, and he's also an all-round great damage dealer. And obviously, of course, he's 3 elixir, so he fits really well in a variety of decks. The last A tier troop is the Wizard. The Wizard is a great support unit, and the anti-heal that we talked about earlier, it can counter a lot of things such as the Golden Giant, the Valkyrie, the Wave Master, the Countess, and his other star abilities are also really strong and really usable. Last we have the S tier minis. These minis are very OP, they are must-haves, and honestly they need some nerfs. First we have the Dark Goblin. He is an amazing damage dealer. First off, he doesn't die to the Giant Skeleton Bomb, which is a great news, and when he has 1 star, it can be game changing if you place him correctly. He is very useful at late rounds, and he can actually make you have a comeback. Next we have the Fisherman. The Fisherman is very versatile, and he's really good at getting rid of long range minis such as the Dark Goblin and the Wizard. And he's already really good at 0 stars, which means anyone who got the Fisherman can instantly use him without upgrading, and he can really change the game, so really recommended. the last troop here, which I think is the strongest troop in the meta right now. It is the giant skeleton. The giant skeleton bomb just gets huge value every single time without failure, especially in this melee meta. And of course, he is exceptionally OP in the mirror map. He's just amazing, and he is always game changing. You get guaranteed value from it. There is basically no scenario where you feel like the giant skeleton is wasted. That is how strong the giant skeleton is in this meta right now. Would you do anything different in the tier list? What would you change? Tell me in the comment section below. And if this video hits 50 likes, I'll do another video ranking the heroes. Speaking of the giant skeleton earlier, I got this really cool deck that had the Arch Queen and the giant skeleton, so check it out if you're interested.